Yeah, so in a stable equilibrium, the heat is transported by radiation without the transport of mass. Now, in an unstable equilibrium, the heat is transported by convection. That means that you have transport of mass. The sun has a radiative zone in the interior and a convective zone near the surface. The flux is transported by radiation whenever the temperature gradient is gentle. As you see here in the model, right? You have the temperature here throughout the sun. The temperature is mostly transported by radiation from the core to the surface. But in this region here, you see how the temperature gradient plunges. Happens at about zero point 0.8 here, about like within the last 20%, the temperature gradient then plunges. And this steep temperature gradient here is too steep now for the flux to be transported by radiation, and you have to transport the flux by convection. It's useful to have the concept that convection is a very fast way, is a very efficient way to transport radiation. Like the radiative zone is essentially a diffusive process. It's like as if you are a person in here and then you're trying to reach the other side. You cannot go on a straight line. You have to dodge people. You have to go around, around, and around. It's almost a random walk for you to get out. That's how flux is transported by radiation, is by a random walk. And then eventually then there is a gradient and then you get transported by this gradient. The convection zone, you have bulk motions of mass, have bulk mass motions. So the photons are being transported with this bulk mass motions. It's like having a conveyor belt that is transporting it. So it's a much more efficient way to transport radiation. Now you can qualitatively understand why is it that a star, that a higher mass star, has a convective core, because they're producing so much energy in the core and in such a small fraction of the volume of the star that you establish a very strong temperature gradient in the core, and you have to transport it by convection. And then once it gentles out, then you have transport by radiation in the envelope.